and you are live at States, so there we go. All right, but and it gets recorded on here as well anyway, so
Brilliant.
all good for everybody. So welcome again to Checkmate the Matrix, and today we have Mike Burton, or this evening we have Mike Burton, who is going to be sharing some knowledge with us with regards to Checkmate the Matrix, as in escaping the Matrix, or at least playing a better game of chess in the Matrix by using decentralized finance. So welcome, Mike, and how are you doing?
Hi, Peter. Yeah, good, thank you. Very well.
Brilliant. So the tonight you're going to educate us all, or share knowledge at least anyway, on I don't know how you would call it. Would you call it cryptocurrency or?
Yeah, cryptocurrency. Yeah, that's the industry. Really, is the cryptocurrency industry. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So I mean, I have dabbled like little bits and everything like that, but you know, obviously I've done a bit of work with yourself and getting involved in your side of things, what you've been working with, which you have done very well with, haven't you?
That's right, indeed. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why well, not a reason, should I say? I'm lucky enough to be retired now, and I'm trying to spread the word, and I want to help as many people as possible to get into the cryptocurrency industry, because that is the future of finance. I could quite happily live on an island drinking out of coconuts the rest of my life, but we all have bigger ideas in life, and we all want to help each other. And obviously a big thing of mine is escaping the matrix, because I was stuck in the matrix and stuck in a dead-end 9-to-5 job, and it's soul destroying. So if you take a little bit of time and do a little bit of research, then the fruits are there to capture. So I'm just here. And again, I did do a similar talk with yourself, with your group, and it's going to follow a similar theme, but I'm just going to drive home a little bit stronger the principles of what crypto is, and why we're invested in crypto, and why we need crypto. There's a lot of should I say the alternative view media that are trying to escape the matrix, often view cryptocurrency and Bitcoin as some kind of Trojan horse or some nefarious activity, and it's all digital. And I agree to a certain extent. Is we live in a digital world now, and we're trying to get away from it. And the net, or should I say, the matrix is a control matrix, and the internet is just one of those. Along with the money system, the main thing, the money system is a control. So we want to break those chains and become free, so that we can do what we want, when we like, with who we want, and afford it.
Yeah, exactly. So as you've said, there's a lot of like stories going around, especially on the mainstream media, like trying to put people off cryptocurrency full stop. You know, a lot of people just are terrified of it. You know, I mean, do you think they've got like a reason to be terrified, or a logical like explanation why they shouldn't be?
No, there is a genuine, and obviously I'm here to tell you all the good and the bad. I'm not going to powder puff anything, but yeah, crypto, again, this is one of the things that I'll get to later on in my talk. But what crypto has become now, traditional finance has infiltrated the crypto industry, and it is, if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know who to talk to, you can lose all your money, and it's full of scammers and grifters and VCs, and so that there's a certain part of the crypto universe which is the cesspool, but that's what we're trying to get rid of. So, and the communities that I'm going to get you involved with and teach you about, teaching you the right way and the proper way, and which is what we're going to learn. So yes, people have got genuine concerns, and they are real concerns. However, the media obviously overblow things, and obviously the same when the internet first was invented, the media was like, oh, it's just for scammers and thieves and terrorist finance and all that, and that's what they're saying nowadays for Web3, which is what the blockchain is, which is classed as Web3. But I'll get more into that because I'm going to do a little bit of a history lesson as well. So hopefully I won't bore you too much, but just a very, very quick, just to give you a quick rundown of certain important events of how we've got where we are today.
Okay, no problem. So do you want me to share those so you can go through them then?
Yep, you can share the slides now if you want.
All right, there we go.
Right, so again, this is just to highlight crypto is the future, and the main reason for tonight's presentation is a call to action because it's getting more and more urgent, should I say. As you'll see in the next couple of slides, the financial system what we call the traditional financial system is on its knees, and it's on its last legs, and you need to have alternative means to be able to buy and purchase things and basically live, because money makes the world go round, and all the banks are teetering on the edge of collapse. It's been a long time coming. And it already has collapsed, which is why we're in the mess we are today. So again, it's traditional finance it's unfixable, and this all stems from, as you know, a lot of you will be aware of what happened in 2008, which was the great financial crisis. GFC, as they refer to it now, as the main media. Again, that was when the whole monetary system, the whole banking system, ground to a halt and came to its knees. Obviously, all the politicians absolutely were scared the wits out of it, and they didn't know what to do, because generally most politicians and most governments, their puppeteers, or the people who pull their strings, are the people who run and own the money system. So just on this slide, you can see this is a graph of actually currency in circulation from the St. Louis Fed. So all the information is there if you want to go. From the start of the graph, which is in 1920, there was about 5 billion in circulation, as you can see. And then it obviously just steeps right up to 2020. You can see it's like a hockey stick. And the reason for that was that obviously mainly due to the financial crisis, where they just turned on the money printers and just printed currency like confetti. So the ramifications of that are too deep to go into in this conversation. But again, lots of your viewers will be aware of the financial system. I've been studying the financial system for many years before I got into crypto, and we're basically, due to all this money printing, we're at the precipice now where there is no turning back, and there is the only way they can get out of the hole that they've dug for themselves. What the politicians all did in 2008 was what called quantitative easing, which was just mean printing money, and all that just flooded the markets with currency, and that pushed all asset prices sky high, and that means the velocity of money and gets faster and faster, and things become more expensive, which is inflation. I lived in Africa many years ago, and I saw the effects of inflation. And as one of the most recent cases was obviously Zimbabwe, where the money just went absolutely ridiculous. I've actually got a $100 trillion note from Zimbabwe, because they're just printing and printing, and that's what happens. And I think the first major point of hyperinflation happened in Weimar in Germany, same thing before the war. And people used to go to the shops with wheelbarrows full of money and stuff. And that is coming. I don't want to be scared that your viewers too much, but there's plenty of people on the internet we can watch and see and learn all about these different things, but we are in such a dire situation with the financial system. And the only reason all the banks didn't go down last time, like I say, the taxpayer bailed them out. So we just printed more money, and the taxpayer footed the bill, and they carried on getting their bonuses and carried on as if nothing was wrong, carried on as normal. So from 2008, we've just been printing money, and this quantitative easing was basically the politicians throwing fuel on the fire, and we haven't felt the full effects yet. So the crash that is going to come is going to be much bigger and much more dangerous, should I say, if it could get any more dangerous. Again, this was just even from Bloomberg. The reason we're going to get into hyperinflation is because we're going to hit what's called a debt spiral, and we've hit that now, where the actual interest repayments on the money that the Fed has borrowed are going to be too big to service. So they have to reduce rates, or they push rates up to try and stop the inflation. But if they push rates up, that'll make their repayments higher, so that they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and there's no way they can go. But they will print money because that's the easiest way, and as all politicians only are there for votes, they will do what's easiest and not what's best. So we are in for a debt spiral. We're on the precipice of a debt spiral now. There's plenty of information on the internet. You can just put. You can see have you seen the US debt clock, the US debt clock website?
Yeah.
It shows you it's running at 32 trillion. It's just that the figures are just absolutely ridiculously stupid now. And there's no way out of some of the things that happens when you hit that death spiral. What happens in Weimar, and happened in Venezuela as well, and Cuba having a bank run at the moment. Don't know, that's more fixed from the WEF, should I say. But what comes next is hyperinflation, bank runs, capital control, stock market crash, depression, panic, lack of food and goods. Capital controls, that is one, a big one. So when the disaster strikes, or when they run out of the liquidity, or there is a problem, they will just stop your bank accounts from working. So if you have a bank account, or just one bank account, the bank, whoever it is, whoever you're banking with, can just shut your bank account anytime. Just go, right, you don't have access to it. And it does happen, as we saw in the likes of Greece, when they had a bank run. Everybody just lost their money and they closed the banks. When they opened, they said, all right, you can have 10p on the dollar or whatever. I even put a little picture there because we had our own little bank run, Northern Rock. Again, that was because they was borrowing short and lending long. Again, it's just the people who own the money printers is not the government. People think that all this money and the money creation is all our governments. It's got nothing to do with the governments. There's people a lot more powerful, a lot more interested in control and power than our politicians, and they're the people that run the money printers and the banks. As you know, Federal Reserve it's not federal, and it's not a reserve. It's a private bank, and same with all the other private banks around the world.
Bank of England is exactly the same. It's not English, and it's not part of the government.
Exactly. And that's what people don't understand.
And I heard that about Cuba as well. I've seen a couple of podcasts and just saying, that this week they were saying people were waking up, going to the bank, or even going online to find out that they had nothing in the bank. It's all gone.
Yeah. That happens to so many millions of people in Cyprus, and it happens to lots of people it's happened to Argentina a couple of times. They end up getting bankrupt quite a few times, Argentina. Again, some of it's a bit bigger game from politicians. Generally the games that the World Economic Forum play. But yes, so the problem you've got with a bank, and that we've never understood this, and this is why it's generally quite hard for people to understand, because this is our whole culture. This is the only way we know, and it's the only way that's ever been run for thousands of years. That you either look after your own money or you give it to a middleman, and a bank is a middleman, and at any point they can lose it, destroy it, just stop you having access to it. So and in the old days, people, to protect the money, they used to put the cash under the mattress. But as all governments are trying to ban cash as well, because again, cash it's anonymous, and it's also an essential part of society where we remain anonymous, and it's part of privacy, where if we want to just buy a magazine, we pay cash for it. Nobody needs to know our name, where we live. We just want to buy a magazine. And that's the same with online. But obviously online, when you use credit cards and everything. So the internet and the online system is a massive data harvesting subject, and the governments and people in power realise that all this information is very useful, and they can sell this information, and they can track this information, and they can get to know everything about everybody. So again, it's another form of control. So with that doom and gloom for our present traditional financial system, on the 31st of October 2008, Satoshi Nakamoto released the Bitcoin white paper to the world, which basically was a document that highlighted Bitcoin and explained how Bitcoin was a peer-to-peer cash system and how it would work. Lots of people, it was generally only people in the know back in, I suppose, generally it was a very small group of people that found out about this to start with, because they were called a small group of people called cypherpunks. And they kept it quiet to start with to see if developed, Satoshi Nakamoto developed this system of digital money. Now, the problem that we've had in the past with anything that's digital is you can copy it, because you can just copy any data you like. So if you had a digital money, you'd be able to copy it, and which is called the double spend problem. So you could spend that money, and if you make another copy of it, you can spend it again. So Bitcoin solved the double spend problem by using what's called the proof of work system, which is a hashing algorithm. But I won't get too much into the tech, but just suffice to say that this was a major turning point in human history, if that's not too hyperbole. So this was such a seminal event, and people don't understand the importance of people talk about the invention of the light bulb and the invention of this and the invention of that and how important it is. People haven't realized or understood how important the invention of Bitcoin and the proof of work system, digital money was, and how it's going to affect our future. But suffice to say that the system, nobody knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is. However, we've got a good idea of the people that worked with him to help write the paper, and the people, the cypherpunks, which I'll get to in a later slide. I'll go through who they were and what they were about. But the cypherpunks were all about privacy and political activism, and they were anti-authority, get rid of the banks and create a new system. And there's lots of quotes from ancient people all over throughout time, is that if you're in a system and you don't like it, you don't fight the system, just go ahead and make another system, and the old system will eventually wither away and die. But again, first they will laugh at you, then they will fight you, then they will join you, which is what crypto is about. Everybody laughed in 2008. Everyone laughed and said, "Oh, it's this daft internet money, it'll never last, blah 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 blah." And one of the biggest proponents nowadays is a guy called Michael Saylor. He's one of the biggest owners of Bitcoin. He runs MicroStrategy. I think his company has bought over 120,000 Bitcoin or so. However, back in 2011, something like that, he was on Twitter. We've saved the actual tweet, and he said, "Oh, it's a load of rubbish. It's a joke. Anyone who invests in that, you expect to lose all your money." However, then slowly, once you get into it and you understand it and you read it and you research it, then you come around and you go, So some of the biggest names in finance have realised, and now what's just happened recently is we've been waiting for years and years and years. They've been talking about it. An exchange-traded fund has been allowed to be created, which buys spot Bitcoin. So what that is, the biggest names, obviously BlackRock, which is BlackRock, Vanguard, and Fidelity, and a few others. They own the world, and they own all the stocks and shares. An exchange-traded fund, ETF, basically is a representation of something else. So if there's a Bitcoin ETF, what the people who are selling that ETF do, they have to buy Bitcoin. So say if they sell an ETF with 1 Bitcoin in it, they have to go on the market and buy 1 Bitcoin and keep and custody it, so that they know that they've sold that piece of paper and they've got 1 in custody. So that's why what's pushing the price up at the moment is all these ETFs have been launched and they all have to go on the market and they all have to buy spot Bitcoin, which is good for Bitcoin. However, again, I don't personally like it because it's getting traditional finance into our crypto system, and generally when you get traditional finance involved, it's not a good idea, and they always end up ruining things and wrecking it. And there are lots of people in the crypto space as well that do end up destroying things. One of the biggest scammers, should I say, has just been sent down for 25-30 years, I think, called Sam Bankman-Fried. He ran a centralized exchange and he stole all the customer funds. There was another guy called Alex Mashinsky. He ran a scheme that was offering yield, but again, it was a middleman. And so the thing with crypto, these ideas and things come from traditional finance, and they move away from the core ideas of what crypto was involved. So crypto is about you becoming sovereign and self-sufficient and not relying, not giving your money to a middleman. Crypto is invented to get rid of middlemen, so that it's just peer-to-peer. So I can send you money, you can send me money. There's nobody else involved in it. I don't have to ask permission from a bank or anything. It's you and the blockchain, should I say, and then you can send money wherever you want, whenever you want, to whoever you want, and it's super secure because it's called cryptocurrency because it's cryptographically and secured. So with the invention of Bitcoin, it came out in, like I say, and the white paper was released in October 2008, and soon after they started the actual network running. So it wasn't till 2009 till it really started taking hold. However, nobody knows who this Satoshi Nakamoto is. It's a big mystery in the crypto world. Nobody knows. He's just disappeared. He's one of the largest holders of Bitcoin, but his funds have never moved. Nobody's ever seen those funds move, and we all think he's either dead or just disappeared. However, in the blockchain that they created for Bitcoin, there was a secret message. The Genesis block just means the first ever block that was made. So in the Genesis block, he referred to, you can see the front page of the Times, which is Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. So that the guy, well, Satoshi Nakamoto, we don't know who he is. We don't know whether it's a male or female, or it could be a group of people. But whoever it was, they were really quite annoyed at the fact that we was bailing out all the banks. And again, the cypherpunks who helped create this Bitcoin and blockchain were absolutely livid, like all of us taxpayers were, that all the banks got bailed out. There must be a better way. There must be a better way, and there is a better way, and it was developed and came to light in 2008, 2009. It was called Bitcoin, which was absolutely one of the greatest inventions that we'll ever see in our lifetime. It was, like I say, it was a paradigm shift. People, even now to this day, people don't understand how important it is. But believe me, so it was one of the most important, like I say, one of the most important inventions in human history, because for ever since humans have had money and had government, should we say, or people in power, so the kings and queens of old, before the banks, it was the kings and queens that had the power to issue coins, and they held all the money and they held all the power, and that power just transferred down the line. So as humans, as a species, as a society, we've never been able to create or look after our own money until Bitcoin and the blockchain was invented. So I've just got there's a quick video here. I don't know whether it'll play that. Shall I try and play that? It's a 2-minute one.
Yeah.
Try it. Oh no. I'll try and go back. Does it give you an opportunity to?
All it says is slides on here.
No.
So
Oh well, it was just a little explainer of what blockchain is, because a lot of people get confused between what Bitcoin is and what blockchain is. Bitcoin and blockchain are interchangeable. It's the same thing. People say, "Oh, well, I like blockchain, but I don't like Bitcoin." Well, you can't have one or the other. It's Bitcoin invented the blockchain. However, there are other projects now that use the same technology and created a blockchain. However, it was Bitcoin that created the first ever blockchain. And when you talk about blockchain, it's the proof of work system where you're hashing blocks together in a chain. That's all it is. So you have a certain amount of data and you put it in a block and you secure it, and then you create another block and it's hashed and they're all connected in hashing in certain encoded along the way. This little video, I'll send it if anybody wants it. I'll send it to them, or you can get it on YouTube. I've got a PDF as well to follow this talk, which highlights all the different links that I'm going to talk about.
I'll put like when we're finished, I'll put all, like, if you send us a link for the video plus all the other ones, and I'll put it in the description when we share it out.
Okay, yeah, brilliant. So going back to, I did mention these cypherpunks. So Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and it's called cryptocurrency because it's cryptographically secured. And cryptography is not a new thing. It's been going on for hundreds of years. The kings and queens and dignitaries used to encode messages to send across the battlefield or to send to private people. So cryptography has been about for hundreds of years. However, a cypherpunk is any individual advocating widespread use of strong cryptography and privacy-enhancing technologies as a route to social and political change. Just a few guys on here that I've just highlighted. So these were the four main people in the cypherpunk movement. And David Chaum, he was one of the first people to create cryptography in a digital form and use it as a science with computers. Eric Hughes, he was a really important person in basically what we call one of the founders of the cypherpunks, and he was like one of the main proponents. He was a visionary who could see what the internet was, where it was going, and how it could affect our privacy. And he also had friends Timothy May and John Gilmore. And again, John Gilmore is another massive person in the crypto universe. Not so much cryptocurrency, but in the cryptography. So there's two separate things I'm talking about there. Cryptography is a separate computer science that lots of people study and stuff. But they want to use cryptography for the benefit of society. Back in the day, I think it was John Gilmore here on the right. He was one of the inventors, founders of an organization called Electric Frontier Foundation, and they could see the problems that could be caused with the internet and privacy issues, should we say, with government and snooping. And obviously the governments always have the best technology, and they're always the military arm of it. And again, cryptography it's a very secretive subject, or it was a very secretive subject, because it was always cryptography was always kept in the military service, should I say. And the Electronic Frontier Foundation had a couple of really massive wins back in the day. There was it was a US Secret Service raided some people and stopped somebody using their computers, or wiped their emails back way before we know what emails were. And they took them to court and sued the US government and won. And they sued the US government because this one guy invented PGP, which is pretty good privacy, which is one of the cornerstones of cryptography. And again, they arrested him, put him in prison, wouldn't allow him to do, because he invented a bit of software that would and tried to make it available to the public, so the public could use cryptography. And the government obviously came down on him and said, "Oh no, it's cryptography is classed as a munition, so therefore it needs to be regulated under military and national security." Again, Electronic Frontier Foundation fought them and won, which is why we have cryptography today. So they can't stop the public using, or you can't stop people exporting software, because it's called free speech. It was actually, that was the case in point that they won, was software was classed as free speech, so you can't stop it. Again, some of the cypherpunks carried on. Eric Hughes started a group in San Francisco Bay, actually. There was a few people that started to go to it. We don't know whether Satoshi Nakamoto did, but all these guys did visit the place, or should I say the cafe that they used to go to. But these cypherpunks were all, they've all in some way, shape or form had dealings with Satoshi Nakamoto. Hal Finney was one of the first people to speak to Satoshi Nakamoto or deal with him on email. However, unfortunately, Hal Finney has now died, which some people say Hal Finney was Satoshi, because obviously nobody knows, nobody's heard from Satoshi. He's just disappeared off the face of the earth. So some people say it was Hal Finney, because Hal Finney's now, he got Lou Gehrig's disease or something, and he's no longer with us. Adam Back, he was an early amazing cryptographer. He still works. He works for Blockstream at the moment. He's still a core Bitcoin developer. You've also got Nick Szabo. Some people say Nick Szabo is Satoshi Nakamoto, because some of the work that he did on transaction hashing has been used in the Bitcoin white paper. And Satoshi never referred to him or thanked him for it. Again, there's Wade there. He was another really big name in the cryptography. He created, I think it was Bcash, I think it was. So all these people that you see on the screen now, they've all been involved in cryptography in the shadows, should we say? And again, they're all about privacy enhancing and using cryptography for privacy and for social change and making the world a better place, which is what all we're about. We want to make the world a better place, and we're sick of the systems. There must be better systems, and there are. So we want people to get involved, and this is why lots of people, when they say, "Oh, digital, this digital, that," so it's rubbish, and you can't really trust it. And it's like, you can trust it, because when you understand, if you go back into the history and understand how we got to how Bitcoin was developed and all these massive names in the past, and again, when you look at any computer science, and you can see how it developed from the early beginnings to today. And again, Bitcoin is all about freedom of speech, freedom to interact, freedom and political change, and taking the power away from those who don't deserve it, and creating your own system. Again, this was the next slide is, I'm just going to go a little bit back into computing history. So one of the first guys that ever invented, well, who first coined the phrase was the first digital programmable computer was Charles Babbage back in 1830. So you can see we've had a good couple of 100 years working on computers. However, computers didn't really take off till Alan Turing. Again, Alan Turing worked at Bletchley Park during World War II as one of the cryptographers there, and he developed a machine called the bomb, which managed to break the Enigma code, and that's how we eventually could decipher all the Nazis' messages. And so we could front run them and beat them at their own game. And again, there's a film, I don't know if anyone's seen it, called The Imitation Game, about Alan Turing, which is absolutely fascinating and amazing. So from then, which was in the 1930s, but again in World War One, Bletchley Park was still there, and they had a group of people working on cryptography, and they always have. And Charles Babbage, he was a cryptographer as well, and he actually worked on some ciphers and broke some code in the Crimean War. So that's how far back we're going. Like I say, cryptography is an ancient art, and we've just brought it along and digitized it and brought it onto the internet. So again, just another quick bit of, so one of the main, after the bomb, there was the Colossus was built, I think, just at the end of the war again. But that was a collection of different computers that Alan Turing and lots of other people at Bletchley Park worked on. But the first real computer that's advertised as an electronic numerical integrator computer called the Great Brain, the ENIAC, in 1945. Then there was a UNIVAC in 1951. Then IBM didn't bring the first commercial computer until 75. An important date in 83 was TCP/IP, but basically that's your internet. So the internet was born in 1983. So really, the internet is only 40 years old, which is nothing. So I know, contrary to what my daughter thinks, that I'm an ancient being. I've seen all the different things that have happened in computers. When I was a lad, and didn't have phones and didn't have computers, and that's just how fast things are moving now. So again, you're still very early in crypto, because crypto is a brand new industry, and there hasn't been massive retail uptake around the world yet. There's lots of people interested, but it hasn't hit the point. So again, 94, the first Apple Mac came out in 84. Does anybody have one of those? So Windows didn't come out to 85, and it was 1989. So there was only 80,000 people on the internet by 1989. So only 33, 34 years ago, there was only 80,000 people. So this is what I'm talking about with there's only a few 100 million people in the crypto world at the moment. But then once it goes exponential. As you can see, from 1996, just 7 years later, it went to 100 million. But that was due mainly in part to Tim Berners-Lee in 93, created the World Wide Web. When people talk about the www, that's the World Wide Web, and they use that interchangeably with the internet. So the internet was not the World Wide Web; they're two separate things, which was TCP/IP, Transfer Control Protocol over Internet Protocol. Again, just boring stuff but I'm just trying to give you a window of how we've got to where we are today in the digital world. And then obviously there was a dot-com bubble. Everyone thought they was going to make millions of pounds in pets.com and everything like that. And that all collapsed in the year 2000. So again, that was just giving you a timeline, and going back to those previous people who I was talking about, like David Chaum, Adam Bach, Nick Szabo, the real cypherpunks in the 80s. So they tried creating. So Bitcoin wasn't the first iteration. There'd been lots of other attempts at creating like a digital money. The problem was that most of these projects had a central point of failure. And again, that's where the governments can come in. If like you or me tried to counterfeit money, obviously the police would come in, put us in jail, and you can always cut the head off a snake, as it's always been. So then none of these projects have ever got off the ground because the government wouldn't let them, powers that be wouldn't let them. That's why Bitcoin's so amazing, because it doesn't have a central point of failure. It's it's all about decentralization. But some of the projects, like DigiCash, that was David Chaum. He invented it in the 80s, and that Weidai, he invented like B-Money. And then Adam Back, he tried Hashcash, and there was Nick Szabo, he tried BitGold. So all those names there were in the early cypherpunks. So all these people were amazing, clever scientists, philosophers, and cryptographers that had tried doing these things. And it was only Satoshi Nakamoto that managed to fix the double spend problem, and then use the proof of work system, which meant sending. There were other few important parts of the Bitcoin network. So you have like nodes around the world which secure the network, and you send information, and they're all these different nodes all around the world are decentralized, and so that's what we call not immutable as such, but more decentralization, which was one of the key features of Bitcoin and proof of work. So each node has to confer with each node around the world, and it's not done like a bank. A bank has a central repository where all the information goes to a central holding person or database, whereas the thing with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, all the information is spread out all over the globe, and we all confer with each other. So again, so Bitcoin is a culmination of ideas. It didn't just come out of nowhere. There's lots of people, all cryptographers and cypherpunks, and people working for years and years and years on all these different ideas. But the main points of what Bitcoin espoused was decentralization by using a proof of work. It created an immutable ledger that nobody can crack it, nobody can change it, so it's mutable. And obviously, with cryptography, there's obviously amazing digital security that cannot be broken into or tampered with. And again, the Bitcoin protocol code, there's a finite supply, so there's only 21 million of Bitcoin that can ever be created. So whereas our governments just create money out of thin air and just press the money printers, they go, hey, and that causes infinite. That's why we have inflation. Nobody really asks the question, what is inflation? Why do prices go up? And they go, well, that's just because the greedy capitalists putting money on trying to take advantage. And it's because of the rates, and it's madness to think that everybody thinks, oh, capitalism is so great. Yet there's just 5 blokes sit in a room at the Fed Treasury every few months and decide what the rates are going to be. So they decide what happens to all the money around the world. Just 5 blokes, and that, to me, that seems more like communism than capitalism, but you can't mention that, and nobody seems to notice that little thing there. So again, Bitcoin was the first iteration of blockchain, and like I say, I can't stress enough how important it was and what an amazing invention it was. Also, because it spawned from cypherpunks and political activists who were anti-authority and hated the banks and want to create a better system. All these really clever, intelligent programmers and computer scientists and everybody, all generally computer nerds, all got involved to start with, which is why. And then there was lots of other coins and lots of other projects that all kicked off. And it's the same with any technologies. Same with computers, with the exponential growth of computers, and from just like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, they're unrecognizable. Same with phones. It's just the speed and the technology is getting better and better because the more people come along and you improve on things. So although I don't hold any Bitcoin, I strongly respect Bitcoin for what it did and what it's done and how it's created the crypto universe. It's old tech now, same as I watch Netflix, but back in the day when VHS and beta videos came out, we used that and we liked that and we stuck to that. However, things move on onto streaming now and Netflix and all the rest of it. So that's just part of life and move on. So I love Bitcoin. It'll always be here to stay, and it's not something because it's so valuable now. One Bitcoin is like $65,000 just for one Bitcoin, and back in 2009 you can buy them for pennies. So the rate of your return on investment is something like 6 million %, which is absolutely crazy, or 60 million %, or something daft. So if you just invested back in 2009 or 2010, if you just invested a couple of £100, you would be a very rich man today if you stopped and you held on to it. So this is the problem with the Bitcoin. This is with the crypto industry, is it's turned out to be a massive casino, a speculation casino game, when really it should be, and you should view it as an investment in your future. So you would take some money that you know you don't need or won't harm you, what we call play money, and you put it aside and you invest it, and 5-10 years later, that will make sure that you will never have to work again if you choose the right coins. Now, this is the big trick, is choosing the right projects, because there's so many out there, tens of thousands of different coins and projects. So you need to know what you're doing and how to invest in crypto. Same as the stock market. There's thousands and thousands of companies that you can invest in, or you can invest in penny stocks, which could go up, it could go down, lose your money. But the traditional finance, again, has infiltrated the crypto industry, and they tend to run all the advertising, and all the advertising that you'll see about crypto is trading. You get your trading, you got to learn to trade, you got to trade this, got to trade that, learn to do these signals. And back in the day, I think it's a badge of honor. You still have to do it. Most people who get involved in crypto do a little bit of trading. I did. Everybody does. It's part of it. But I think it's also good as well, because you learn about charting, and charts are just a visual representation of the psychology of the market. So again, that's one of the great things. And people always ask me, like, well, why is the price rise and why is the price fall? So again, another thing to tell people is that the crypto markets are extremely volatile. Whereas the S&P 500, you might invest in the S&P 500, you might get 5-10% return on investment over a year. It's like, for massive companies that invest in millions and millions of pounds, that might be good for them. But for us average working people, getting 10% back on £100, it's 10 quid, which is no good for us. It's not going to change our life. However, you can have life-changing money in crypto, but sometimes it happens overnight. But generally, you don't want to focus on that. You're focusing on, you're joining a new financial system and you're investing for your future. Lots of people get bored, so the price goes up. So what happens in crypto is we go through a 4-year cycle. So basically, we go up for 2 years and we go down for 2 years. And people will say, why is that? And that's because every 4 years, there's an event called a Bitcoin halvening. So the supply of Bitcoin gets cut in half. So if you have the same amount of demand, but only half the supply, which pushes the price up. So every 2 years, the price gets pushed up to ridiculous levels. And then when it gets overvalued, everyone goes, oh, and starts selling, and the price goes down, and we start a bear market. So that happens like every 4 years, which is why the price goes up. But generally, if you buy Bitcoin, you can sit through a bear market because you know it's going to go back up again in the next bull market. So which is, again, one of the main reasons why I'm having this conversation with you again tonight, Peter, is this call to action. We need to get people. It's like lots of people have heard about crypto, and it's like, I've heard about it. And it's like, it's not about, do you want to invest? This is not about, do you want to try and make a little bit of money in the stock market now? The traditional financial system is on its knees, and if you rely and keep all your money in the bank, you're going to lose it one day. So we need to move. Anybody that's interested in beating the system, getting away from banks, escaping the matrix, you have to get involved in crypto. And I understand the genuine reasons why people can be put off, but it's the same with everything. And you need to just do. This is basically right. You've had some time to think about it, and you need to start to act now, because we're just coming into a bull market as well now. So it's a great time to get involved, because you're going to see some really exciting action in the next 6 to 12 months. It's going to go crazy. And because traditional finance is broken, it's like, well, they'll just print money and it'll just carry on. We'll kick the can down the road, which is what they have been doing for the last 15 years or so. And you think they can carry on doing that, but you're not. You're going to get to an inflection point, which we're nearly at now, where you hit a death spiral. So we need to make we need to get out and get into crypto. It's not just like, oh, it'd be nice to, and oh, well, it's too complicated, I don't really understand it. It's like, if you use a phone, if you use a computer, and if you use a bank account, then you can use crypto. I don't go with anybody saying it's too complicated. It's a lot of rubbish. There's no such thing as too complicated. Everybody has a phone. Everybody knows how to download an app. Everybody uses a banking app. Everybody uses a credit card. So if you can do that, you can use crypto. If you get into the backgrounds of all the technology and how the hashing algorithms work and everything, yes, you will get confused, but you don't need to know that. All you need to know is that you create a wallet and you become your own bank and you keep your own money. And people say, well, what the financial systems? Oh, there's always been doom and gloom, and you'll always see people saying it's going to collapse. They always say it's never going to do. It's like, fair enough. If you want to take that risk, that's great. However, I know there's other things down the line that are happening. And on this website, you can see here, there's a little picture there, and I've copied that off the CBDC tracker. So that's an actual website where you can track what banks are testing digital currencies. So every central bank around the world is testing digital currencies. So it's my opinion or my view, and the same of quite a few other people in the industry, is like, what they're going to do, or what we think they're going to do, is the banking system will collapse. That's why we have bank holidays now, because when there's problems, they just shut the banks and it's called a bank holiday. That's why we have bank holidays now, because they used to do that in the olden days to stop the markets from screaming and getting out of control. So if the banks do go down or something happens, they will take the banks down. However, say if you had £1,000 in the bank, you don't see that anyway, because it's just digital figures on a screen. When you look on your banking app, or when you look on the cash machine, it just shows, it's just digital representation. You can't actually see that money. You'll never see that money that you've got in the bank unless you take some cash out. So we think the banking system may go down, and this is when they'll close the banks for the weekend, and then they'll just say, oh, don't worry, there's been a problem, but all money now is central bank. We have to use these new digital currencies. So if you had £1,000 in cash in your bank, now you'll have £1,000 of digital currency, which will be, you have to use their digital currency. However, I'll tell you a little story about why I was late to crypto. I knew about Bitcoin back in 2009. However, I'd listened to David Icke, and he was talking about, oh, they're going to create this digital enslavement system and money and stuff, and I believe that, and they are doing that. However, I thought Bitcoin was it, and I thought, oh, there you go, that's it. And so I stayed away from it. It was only in 2017 when I actually decided to go have a look at this and did a deep dive, read the Bitcoin white paper, and then the light bulb came on, because then when I understood and learned all about the cypherpunks and how Bitcoin came about and all the previous development and who's involved in cryptography and the crypto industry, like they're our kind of people. These are the people that we want on our side, that we want to join forces with, because CBDCs are the digital currencies that are going to provide total Orwellian control. If they bring those in, which they will, because they're testing them. So you can go on this lab website that's called CBDC Tracker, and you can look at all the different banks around the world and see what phase they're in, whether in testing, pilot, already running. So it is coming. CBDCs are coming, and I don't know how they're going to get them to work. So my opinion is that they're going to take the banking system down, because there's that much debt they can't pay it off anyway. There's no way any of these governments around the world can pay the debt off. It's absolute fairy tale idiocy to believe that any of these governments are going to pay it off. The GDP will never cover the debts that they owe. So the only way you can do that is have a debt jubilee, which is what they used to do in the olden days. A debt jubilee, start again, wipe the slate clean. So when this wipe the slate clean, they'll issue CBDCs. And when they do that, that means they can decide where you spend it, how you spend it. They can track, they can see where you're going, where you're moving, who you talk to. if you've had too many burgers that week, for climate change, they'll say, no, you can't buy no burgers this week. You've had too much meat. They can tell that your money won't work on the bus or taxis if you've had your allowance, or you're only allowed to buy one plane ticket a year or one train. There's a million different things all well in control, and it's not fairy tales or craziness. It's actually most of it is in play in China as we speak right now. The social credit system is in place, and it was brought to light with the COVID malarkey, that people, their phones would stop them from travelling to certain different areas, so they couldn't protest at banks. They just say, you're not red, your phone says red, you can't move about, and you can't get on the train, you can't do this, you can't spend your money, you can't move out of your 15-minute city. So we all talk about all these crazy, loopy ideas, but they're not loopy, they're not crazy. They're actually happening all around the world. So again, this is why we need to. If you haven't invested in crypto yet, you will need to learn, and it needs to be your main focus. Your main focus now, and you need to start to try and get as much money out of the banking system before you lose it or before it goes down. We don't know how long you've got. You may have 6 months. You may have another couple of years. Who knows? It may happen next week. We just don't know. So one of the other things that came about with Bitcoin and the development of all the other amazing cryptocurrencies, one of the main cryptocurrencies that was developed after Bitcoin, one of the Bitcoin developers actually invented what's called, his name's Vitalik Buterin, and he's so clever. He's just like an alien. He's that much of a clever bloke. He was a Bitcoin developer. He wanted to create smart contracts on Bitcoin. None of the other developers would let him or wouldn't allow it in the code. So he went off and created a new blockchain and called it Ethereum. And it was a smart contract blockchain, which just meant instead of just moving money from one person to another, you could do lots of different things with it. The same way in the early days of computers, before Windows was invented, you had to plug soft floppy disks into a computer, and you couldn't do this and you couldn't do that. It's just technology moves on, and it gets better and better and better. And one of the things that Ethereum did over time was it attracted so many clever developers that developed all these really clever financial products on the blockchain. So what we've done really is just copy what works in the traditional finance system and brought it online. There's Aave is a lending protocol. Curve again is another lending protocol. Balancer is a protocol that balances out all different stable coins and stuff. MakerDAO is invented what's called a stable coin called DAI, which we'll get to a little bit more later. So what all these came about over the years. So now we're in 24. So it's taken a good 8 or 9 years for all these little Lego pieces to come together and develop and improve upon. And that's what's so good about crypto, is that we're constantly developing, constantly getting better. Then in 2019, this guy came on my radar called Richard Hart, and he was developing a cryptocurrency called Hex, which I haven't done very well out of. However, Hex was not very well received by the crypto industry. Should we say Richard Hart, who invented it, is a bit of a character, should we say? But generally in the crypto universe, it's very tribal. And even Richard, he was what was called a Bitcoin maximalist. So a Bitcoin maximalist is generally anybody that says, "Oh, Bitcoin's the only cryptocurrency, and everything else is a scam, everything else is a load of rubbish," which is the same with every community says every other community is a scam and it's a load of rubbish. So that's the thing that you've got, which I don't like about crypto, is it's very tribal. And if one community don't like another community, they just call us a scam. However, then generally that's because the crypto media has been overtaken by traditional finance, and it's the same way as our normal media. It's funded by people who've got agendas and want their story put in forward. So,
but that's the same like with any kind of groups. I mean, like say for instance, what they call this truther community, right? Which like is the worst word in the world, the truth, right? Which is just it's just actually legal word, but like they all bitch on and slag each other off and attack each other all the time, trying to get one up on each other. Oh no, our group's better than your group, and our dad's bigger than your dad. It's absolutely ridiculous. But like tribal is a very good way of actually putting it, because I think all of these things, like the cryptocurrency, the groups that splinter off in there, a lot of it they're like cultish, aren't they?
Yeah,
cultish,
yeah.
with an L, by the way.
Absolutely. So a lot of people refer to the hex as a cult. Even there's a main film that I'm going to show you a bit later on, and they actually said, "Oh yeah, hex is a cult," and it's like, well, everything's a cult then. It's like, however, the one thing that really got me excited about the hex community is that it's full of so many clever people. The people that you speak to in the hex community, and obviously I sat through from day one. I got involved, and everybody, the whole crypto industry was against hex and said it was a scam, and Richard Hart's a scammer, and everybody was just saying it's a scam, you get losing money in this and that. And however, I didn't listen to all them. I did my own research. I read the white paper. I looked at the code. I saw there was no red flags on the code. I read the websites. I read this. I read that. I talked to people and just used my own critical decision making capabilities, and I knew there was something special there, so I kept there. And everybody that was in hex early were the same type of, and the bonus for me was we're all of the same. Again with crypto as well, we're all of the same mindset, and we're all really good. We all want change, and we can all see through the crap which is the media, and we can all see through big pharma, and we know things. So sometimes I say hex it was a bit of an intelligence competition, so you either got it or you didn't. So there's lots of people who did get it and got invested and made a lot of money, and people who just call it a scam lost out and didn't learn any more. So obviously it didn't turn out to be a scam, but with the stock market, with the bull and bear market, it went to a massive high price of nearly 50 cents per hex, and we've had a 99% or 98% drop since then. So again, that's something that you've got to be aware of. So in the bull market, you're a millionaire and you're making loads of money, but you've got to be aware that every 4 years you have these 80 to 90% drops, and that's the same for all cryptos. Maybe in Bitcoin you only get a 70 to 80% drop, but in Ethereum and all the big ones you get 85% drops. So you've got to be aware of that and plan for it. However, because Richard was a Bitcoin maximalist, he was creating blocks. He actually had a Bitcoin node and was at a Bitcoin miner, and he was he was collecting Bitcoin, 50 Bitcoin at a time, back in the day when it was like $2. So but before he got into crypto, he was already a self-made millionaire from. It was a serial entrepreneur. So before he came to crypto, he was already a millionaire. And he became a Bitcoin maximalist because again, Richard Hart is like a really, really clever bloke, and his IQ went to a special gifted school for mathematicians and stuff. So I stand behind his. I stand on his, like I say, we stand on the shoulders of giants. So I look and stand on his shoulders, And everything I've learned is from Richard. But again, you don't put anyone on a pedestal. With certain things that I knew more than him at the time. He was not more than him, but he was what we call a Bitcoin maximalist. But I was already researching Ethereum and saying, oh well, there's this Ethereum thing over here. You've got to this is the next iteration. This is the next generation. So Bitcoin was generation 1, Ethereum was generation 2. And then there was generation 3, which is basically a proof of stake. And we're going to get onto generation 3, which is what I believe Pulse Chain is. So Richard Hart created Hex in 2019. And then he went on to collect some money, which was called a sacrifice, or you could have called it an idea or an investment. Sorry, not an investment, but he was creating a chain because Hex was becoming very expensive to use on Ethereum. And again, Ethereum is the most popular chain. It's where all cryptos use and work. 90% of all crypto happens on the Ethereum chain. However, when you use Ethereum, you have to pay like a gas fee or like a transaction fee. So say if I was sending Peter 10 quid, the gas fee would be 20 quid. And it's like, well, that's just stupid. It's costing me more to send you less money, which is, again, so Richard was really annoyed at the success of Ethereum, and it became too expensive, and it stopped the average person, the man on the street, should we say, from using Ethereum because it was so expensive. All the whales and millionaires and stuff didn't care. They're quite happy. You don't mind paying 10, 20 quid for a transaction fee. If you've got millions, it doesn't matter. However, to get new people on board and get the masses involved in crypto, having 20, 30, 50 dollar transaction fees to use a blockchain was just absolutely stupid. It defeated the object of what crypto was invented for, to bring on the masses. So he started to develop a new chain called Pulse Chain, and basically it's using the same source code as Ethereum, and he developed Pulse Chain, which actually launched back in last year. It's been launched nearly a year now, so there's been some development, lots of development on it, which I'll get to in a minute. So again, this was just talking a bit about Richard Hart and who he is. There's some really good interviews on YouTube. That one that says "How Billionaires Making People Rich." That's a really good interview. He's wrote self-help books. He's raised millions for charity. And one thing why a lot of people don't like Richard is he become very flamboyant with his money. He starts flashing his watches, and he started just buying loads of stupid stuff from Gucci and Versace and stuff like that. And the sad fact is, the reason he had to do that was because he used to sit by himself in a chair, in a t-shirt, just talk about crypto and educate people for hours and hours and hours on end. And nobody was interested. He couldn't get any eyeballs. Nobody was watching him. So he had to do what everybody else is doing in crypto world, going, oh yeah, man, I'm a millionaire. I'm driving Lambos and I'm buying this and I'm doing that, and just all the idiot things that you do when you've got loads of money, and people who think it's clever to splash money about when you're rich. That's a sad fact of our society, that creates eyeballs, and everybody wants to see that instead of actually listening and understanding what people have to say, and just listening to the alpha that he will speak. But yeah, that's a sad fact of our society. And then there was another film. Have you seen this yet, Peter? The Highest of Stakes?
Yeah.
So again, that was a film made about Hex and about Richard Hart. I think you can get it on YouTube now, but you can get it on Apple, Amazon. I don't think it's not on Netflix at the moment. Just Apple, Amazon, and a few others, American services. So I think there's a couple of other copies on YouTube as well, if people are interested to watch that. So again, as as I espoused earlier, Bitcoin didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was a culmination of ideas and working on things that hadn't worked in the past and updating, which is the same with anything. It's a constant improvement, a constant battle to make things better. So Ethereum came out in 2015. It invented all these amazing Lego pieces of decentralized finance. What Richard's done is he's copied the full system state of Ethereum and brought everything all at once onto this pulse chain. And again, another one of the reasons why I'm having this talk tonight is like, there are lots of, in the crypto world, there's lots of other chains like Polygon, Matic, Arbitrum, Optimism, Avalanche, Cosmos. There's hundreds of different chains. And lots of them are copies of Ethereum. Lots of them are copies of Bitcoin, like Litecoin, Dogecoin. So there are lots of different projects. However, I've been doing a lot of research, and one of the reasons why I wanted to have this chat tonight with Pete was this isn't just another network that's starting like all the other networks. This has got some serious stuff that's happening behind the scenes that I don't want to get into. Not that I can't get into it, it's because it's too technical at the moment for your viewers, but I'd be more than happy to explain things as we go along. But it's suffice to say that what Richard is creating, what he's been developing over the past 5 years, it didn't start with Hex. He obviously had this idea of what he wanted to do with his pulse chain before he invented Hex. He wanted, and when Hex was about, he called it the new Bitcoin, an improvement on Bitcoin. Everyone just laughed at him at that. So what happened when Pulse Chain launched was it launched with a full system state of Ethereum, so it's a full copy. And we also launched with, obviously, we've got a decentralized exchange. We've got, of course, which is a fiat on and off ramp, store of value, which is out the Hex. We have this ultra secure and immutable because it's a proof of stake blockchain with over 50,000 validators. Lots of other chains that say they're really good have hardly any validators. That just shows the community behind it. And the one thing, or should I say, the holy grail of crypto, what whole crypto has been after. There's an invention that we've got in crypto called a stablecoin, which is basically just it's a $1. It's a dollar token, and it always stays at $1 because it's pegged to the price of $1. There's the biggest stablecoin is something called Tether. And there's been issues with Tether for years and years, and nobody really understands who it is, or who runs it, or how it come about, and nobody really knows there's any proof. They just print billions and billions of it, and there's no proof that there's anything backing it, because a stablecoin, there should be £1 in a bank somewhere for when they issue you a $1 stablecoin. You give them £1, they give you a £1 coin back. So they should be balanced 1 for 1, but we don't believe that that's the case because it's never been audited and it's cloaked in secrecy. So then going back to what I mentioned earlier, there's this thing called MakerDAO on Ethereum. They developed what's called an algorithmic stablecoin, whereas you can issue it if you provide collateral, but over collateralized. So you provide £1.50 and we'll give you a £1 coin because the collateral stays in the vault, should I say. So that's generally how an algorithmic stablecoin works, because it's over collateralized, so if people don't sell it all down and destroy the system. However, it's not a fully algorithmic, because a lot of the collateral that they use is called USDC, and USDC is centralized, so they could turn that off, and it's the best thing we've got in crypto. However, in crypto, the holy grail is finding a fully decentralized stablecoin. So again, for Tether's centralized, you have to send money to this centralized person, and they'll issue these stablecoins. Whereas the holy grail of crypto is where we want to create an algorithmic stablecoin, where we can just go to a protocol, give them our collateral, and then print a stablecoin. And what I can say is that there's that holy grail we think is being developed now behind the scenes with Pulse Chain. Another thing that's happening is liquidity bonding, because Pulse Chain started off with a really clever, engaged community of hexagons that have now migrated over to Pulse Chain, and all the developers and builders and the community. The thing about crypto is generally, if you haven't got a community, your project won't succeed. You might have the best idea in the world. However, if you haven't got a community behind you, it won't succeed. And Pulse Chain has the biggest community and the best and most intelligent community. And all the things that have happened in crypto and that's created a cesspool, everybody in Pulse Chain, everybody in the hex system knows what the bad things are and how and why we've got there. So we want to create a new, better system. So we're cleaning it up. Same with Richard. He knows the best way of what DeFi is and what crypto should be, and he always teaches his people the best way of how to use DeFi and how to use crypto. So the Pulse Chain is full of really clever, autonomous people that really know about crypto. The rest of it's all just fluff and games, should I say. So again, this is just so these are all the influencers. I know you can't read many of them, but this is pictures of all the different influencers, the people that talk about Pulse Chain. So there's hundreds of them. You won't see anything like that in any other chain or network. There just isn't that many people. So that we have the biggest and best community. Not only do we have the biggest community, we have the most active, engaged, and motivated and clever, and everybody's doing their own thing to create to push Pulse Chain and make it better. Again, we've got an ecosystem. There's hundreds of different avenues of things that, again, it's only a year old, and we're nearly at the same amount of projects that are on chains that have been running for years and years, and some don't even come close to what we've got. So again, that's that. What I'm trying to say is that Pulse Chain is, although the price of Pulse Chain at the moment, which is like the core coin, it's not doing very well. It hasn't done very well. However, that's not a measure of success in crypto, because we do know that we've been in a bear market and we know it will run. But the things that are happening behind the scenes are creating a whole new financial system. So Richard has been well aware of what's happening in the real financial system, because he's a multimillionaire and he needs to protect his money, and I'm sure he knows what's happening behind the scenes himself. And that's why there's a certain coin, an algorithmic stable coin that was copied over called DAI. So as it's on Pulse Chain, it's called PDAI, and we're going to create our own algorithmic stablecoin called PDAI. And people might not understand how important that is, but basically, once we've got that, an algorithmic stablecoin, and another thing with the community, because they're so clever and engaged and motivated, what we've learned, instead of how crypto's done in the past, is people buy and sell, and the price goes up and the price goes down. All our community understand Hart's Law, which is a term that Richard Hart created himself. There's understanding how prices work and why they go up and down. And it's generally due to liquidity, of the bonded liquidity in pairs when you're trading them. And a lot of our community understand that, and we've developed a new system, and we've started using liquidity instead of just buying and selling cryptos. And if you go on a certain other chain, so let's say Solana, it's just full of memes, and people just push the price up to the ceiling and then they sell it back down again. But what we're doing is creating a new financial system. And some of the communities that we've got on this chain, there's like 9 inches of community, which is it's a meme DEX. We have a Troper, which is one of the main liquidity or the PDAN, should I say, one of the PDAN narratives. There's what it says there, 414 wallet. There's a developer called Maria, and he started developing lots of tokens. But what he's been doing with them has been bonding the liquidity and messing about creating a new token that's linked to that token, and the bonded liquidity is that, and then he's been burning liquidity, so he can't game the system. So we have what's called benevolent people and benevolent builders in our system that have created something where if they'll benefit if everybody benefits, but they can't benefit from the system, because what's happened in the past in crypto is somebody will create a token, they provide the liquidity, the price goes to the moon, they pull the liquidity out, and then everybody's stuck with the tokens and they can't sell the tokens because there's no liquidity, but the founders run off with loads of money, which is just basically a scam. So what Maria's done in the Tropa system, he's burnt the liquidity, so it's locked, so he can never access that now because he's got rid of the key, the admin keys, but that liquidity will forever stay in the pool. Again, the same thing with SolidX and Axis and NERP. A new thing that's just come out in the last few days is Gifford Tech. Again, it's another thing. Basically, they're using a new protocol and liquidity bonding and burning. Again, I don't want to get too deep into it. Again, Tangang, it's another meme community, but all these different communities that are all really clever and really understand finance, mathematics, and liquidity bonding. And these are the two people that are creating the backbone of the Pulse chain. So when it does actually take off, we've got everything in place for this new financial system, and there's going to be that much money that pulls it in. Because people, again, let's just say, for example, let's play Magic Carpet Ride scenario. So Richard Hart is a probably billionaire now. He's got millions and billions tied up on the Ethereum chain. Now he's created his own chain. Do you think he will move that money to his own chain that he's created? It's a simple question. It's like, well, of course, he's created his own project. He's going to move all that money. Why would you leave your money on a different chain? That doesn't. So at some point, Richard is going to move all his millions over to Pulse chain, which is going to cause a massive supply shock on Ethereum, but it's also going to send the price absolutely ridiculous on Pulse chain. And then once, because Richard is very well known in the community and people watch what he does, and again, he's very connected to lots of big money, because he's big money, so he's connected to all the big money in crypto. And when they see him moving his money over to his own chain, they know that that's going to pump it, so that will cause more money. And then it'll just be a positive feedback loop, and everything that's happening with the bonded liquidity, it's again that's going to cause a positive feedback loop. So there's so much that's happening in the background. It's like, oh my God, when this goes, this is absolutely going to fly. And it's not just another chain, and everybody else will tell you their chain is the best and their coin's the best, but it's just standing back and taking a bigger picture view of it's not just like one coin or this coin. It's the community, and all the pieces of the puzzle. We've been collecting them, we'll put them all together, and then it's like a rocket ship, and we're just getting all the puzzles together, and I'm just going to put light the petrol very soon. So, and again, that's one of the reasons why we want to get you into the Pulse chain. So generally what I used to do, I used to get people into Ethereum first, because it's the easiest onboarding way to get people involved in crypto. But I don't want to waste any more time now. It's like, no, you've got to learn about Pulse chain and get onto Pulse chain ASAP. And again, with the financial system on its knees, you need to learn about crypto, get into crypto, and get into Pulse chain. So that's my main call to action tonight.
Yeah.
So
is that the end of the presentation?
It is indeed, yes.
Cool. All right. So then, when you're saying, I totally get the bit about you used to say go into Ethereum. But now what you want to do is you would encourage people to then go into the pulse chain rather than Ethereum now to get, if they wanted to get involved.
Yes.
So how would you actually specifically do that? So if I wanted to do it now, and right, I've got some money, right, if you want to call it that, I've got some fiat currency sitting there, I've got it spare. How do I actually get involved now?
Right. Again, that's a bone of contention, but unfortunately we have to use what's called a centralized exchange just to start to get into crypto. So that basically you have your English money, your pounds, your dollars, whatever, and you need to swap those pounds for crypto. So therefore you would have to use what's called a centralized exchange, same way as you use a foreign exchange when you go abroad. You want to change your English money, you want to get some foreign money, so you go to a foreign exchange to change your money. It's the same thing with a crypto exchange. You want to change your English money for some crypto money, so you go to a crypto exchange and you send in from your bank to the crypto exchange, and then you can choose. The crypto exchange lists all these hundreds of different coins and projects and tokens, and you just decide which one you want to buy, like a big shop.
So if you've gone onto an exchange, right, name one.
Well, normally, the one that I used to promote was Kraken, based in America. However, they don't support Pulse Chain. So there's a European exchange called Kanga, Kanga, and you can actually buy Pulse and Pulse X, which I don't think I really went into what Pulse X is, but Pulse X is it's a decentralized exchange on the network. So once you're into crypto, once you've got a little bit of money in crypto, then you can use decentralized exchanges, and that means you can swap your coins for any coin on the network or what's available, and you don't have to. You just connect your wallet, and you don't have to enter any KYC or anything daft like that. So that's the only pain point with centralized exchanges, with like Kraken and Kanga, is that you have to give a certain amount of personal information. Obviously, crypto was invented for privacy and anonymity, and we don't like that. But at the moment, there is no better way to get in. So that's a pain point that we have to use for now, but I'm sure Richard is developing some form that will happen on Pulse Chain where we'll be able to get in without using KYC. Again, something else is happening when I did my research behind the scenes is he's developing certain privacy protocols and privacy enhancing things that he's going to bring into the chain. And that's what we're all. So one of the things when people sacrifice money to join Pulse Chain and Pulse X was he wanted to sacrifice money for freedom of speech, freedom of movement, and freedom to assemble, and all the other freedoms that we take for granted. So again, Richard he espouses the ideals that we want to follow as well.
Well, I'm just going to hang on. Where's my thing? I'm just going to put this question up there. So when you say a little bit of money, what amount is that? I mean, in reality, what I mean is something that, let's just say it's the same thing when you're going to go and trade on something or whatever you want to call it. It's something that you would, if you lose it all, then you're not going to end up like completely smashed and finished. So you have to be able to afford to lose it. Right, because at the end of the day as well, when you go and buy this stuff, and you're talking about, it is an investment, but it's definitely a long-term investment. It's not something you want to put in there and say, right, I want my money back tomorrow, and it's 10 times higher than what it was, which is what a lot of people, for whatever weird reason, seem to expect.
Yeah, because people think of it, and people they use it as a gambling, like the lottery type things. Like sometimes you can put 10 quid, 100 quid in, and you can make 1,000, 10,000 pounds out of it, and that's what. And again, that's the gambling mentality. And if your mate down the road's done it, it's like, oh, well, I want to get in as well. And it's like, and that's not the mentality we want. That can happen, and it most probably will do coming up in the next 6 to 12 months, but we're not getting involved before that. We don't want to have the gambling mindset. We want to have an investment mindset, but we also don't want to use your food money or your rent money. You want to use your money that you can afford to lose as such. Again, I don't really like that phrase because I never had enough money to lose, but I took a risk. So again, it's understanding the risk profile and what your risk appetite is, and never invest in crypto on crypto. Don't take loans out or credit cards or max anything daft like that. But if you have a nest egg, or if you can borrow some money from a friend that you know that you can pay it back, or you're not going to cause any harm to yourself, which is the main thing. So again, a little bit of money is different to everybody. It depends what you're earning, how much money you've got. Some people only have £100 in savings, some might have 20,000-30,000 in savings. It's totally personal to you and what matters to you. However, if you've got over £10,000 in the bank, then yes, you need to be worrying about that, keeping it in the bank. Yeah, that's, again, people think if you're really risk averse and you really don't want to invest in crypto because it's extremely volatile, like one day it can be up 50%, next day it can be down 20%, next day it can be up 10%, next day down 70%, and so it's volatile in that way. So that's why stable coins are invented. So you could have £30,000 in the bank, say, or £10,000 in the bank, and then you can buy £10,000 worth of stable coins, and that will stay forever, £10,000. So if you are risk averse, you can go straight into stable coins. You're not going to make any money, but you ain't going to lose any money either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, see, the thing is, I mean, everybody has a choice, and if your choice is to like leave it in the bank and you think everything's going to be fine, then it's your choice to do it. No one's going to argue it. Do what you like. Right, but all we're saying is we need to give information out because the world is changing at such a rate. Okay, we already know, like, everything that's going on with Russia. We are at war with Russia. God knows what is going to be going on over the next, like, up till January next year. It's the insanity that we're going to go through. We've never ever seen before, and no one's seen before in this lifetime.
No,
right.
Again, that was one of the things I wanted to say.
The financial system is part of that, and I'm not saying it is Russia against like the West either, because I think they're all in the same. I think the two heads of the same coin, and they're all in it together. And I do think that it's just a big pantomime. And I'm not saying it's a pantomime where people don't get killed. Of course they do, because that's the plan. They want millions dead, so that's what they're doing. But part of that, it will be they are going to crash the fiat currency. So whatever is in a bank is going to literally disappear in a split second. And you don't have to listen to anyone on here. Don't have to listen to Mike. Don't have to listen to me. Just go and listen and read people that are in the top of the financial world. They are telling you that the whole thing is going to crash. Go on to Mike Maloney. He's been telling you for years. It's all going to disappear. It's going to crash. Right? So
there is no other option.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So you can leave a couple of million in the bank if you want, but I tell you what, it's going to be gone in a split second. You're not going to get it back. And then if they say, oh, well, you can use our CBDCs, you'll get what they give you, not what you've got in there. And then also it's going to be 100% programmable and controlled. So, we will, and again, if in my view, right, we're in a war. And it's a good versus evil war. And I do believe that there's a possibility of having a brand new financial system under like Richard Hart, what he's actually trying to launch. So I would rather be on the end of like, I've lost everything because I was trying something than I lost everything because I left it with the government.
Yeah. Absolutely,
the biggest criminals like that you could ever come across.
Yeah. And the good thing about crypto, again, one of the reasons why I wanted this call to action, and lots of people are very dubious of crypto, is because of the scammers but you get that in all forms of life, and you'll always get the politicians say, oh, well, you lose your money, you'll do this, and it's like, well, it's used for terrorist financing, it's used for this and drugs, and it's like, well, cash is used for drugs. Cash is used for terrorist financing. US dollars, English pounds, it's all used. It's like if someone's got to do bad stuff, they will do bad stuff. It's got nothing to do with. And the good thing about crypto is that's what I tried to go through earlier with trying to explain who the cypherpunks were and how Bitcoin came about, because they were political activists, and they all know about. And Eric Hughes in 1992 or 92, I think it was, he wrote the Cypherpunks Manifesto, and I think I put a link in the slides. And if you just read that Cypherpunks Manifesto, you'll understand what they're about and what they're very prescient. They understood this digital soup that we live in. It's all encompassing. It's all and so what the Cypherpunks Manifesto is all about: privacy, not secrecy, and that's the difference in understanding the difference in privacy and secrecy, and understanding and fighting for your rights and getting and stopping the governments with their overreach and understanding the tech better than the governments could understand the tech. So we're on the right side. So we're with the right people.
Exactly. So, I mean, all we're doing is providing information, and obviously everyone has to make their own choices, and it is free will to everyone, but without this information, then you wouldn't have a choice. You're going to go. And the thing is, there is a lot of other information that just, I don't know. It's just like, it's not accurate enough, or it's not the right type of information to assist people to go in the right direction to get into cryptocurrencies that is going to help them, in the short term, the medium term, and the long term. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So
again, just to highlight to your viewers, like a lot of people who might be concerned about, I haven't got into crypto. There's only two main things that you need to do. One is download a wallet, and two is open an exchange account to send your English money to that, and then you can send from the exchange to your wallet. So they're the two steps that you need to master: is download a wallet and open an exchange account, and that will open up the crypto universe to you. And then it's baby steps, and then learning, and you learn at whatever speed you're comfortable with. But they're the two, and people say, oh, well, it's too complex. It's like, no, you download apps to your phone, and that's all it is. A wallet, which means that you're the bank and you own your own wallet. Same way as you've got a wallet in your pocket, nobody can take it off you. It's your wallet. You have a wallet on your computer that nobody can take off you, that's secured by private cryptography. So you have that wallet, and then nobody can take it off you, so that you can download it. And it's the same way you download loads of other apps on your phone. So you can't download a wallet to your phone or your laptop. It's very simple and very easy, and you can open an account. You've got a bank account, so you know how to open an account. So you open an account with an exchange. They're the only two things you need to do.
So obviously, people now and again, they do make this comment, and they say, what they'll do is whoever they is, right, they're going to switch off all of the systems, all the electric will go down, and you're not going to be able to access your wallets and not going to be able to get any crypto. I mean, my answer to that would, first of all, if they switch off every single bit of electric in the country, the least problem you're going to have, right, is like, where's my money? Because you're going to have piles and piles of gangs and bandits coming to kill you all and take everything. So don't worry about it. But in reality, like, what would you say to them about, like, they will switch off all the electric?
Well, no, the same thing is the similar one to that is, what if they turn off the internet? Same thing. So the only way, like, a lot of people say, oh, they'll ban it, they'll ban crypto. So the only way they can ban crypto is if they stop using electricity or they turn off the internet. And like you said, if that happens, you've got bigger problems than not being able to access your money. You're on your own, and you'll be fighting and growing your own food by then, and fighting on the streets. So if that ever happens, but again, that's all part of being prepared, and having crypto has been part of. Again, it's, and one of the things that I was going to talk, and I see crypto as like having a knife when you're going out and adventure camping. It's like a knife is extremely useful. It can do all sorts for you, and it can help protect you against bears and animals. However, that same knife could be turned upon you and could kill you. So it's just a tool that you use for the benefit. So you use that tool for the benefit of yourself. And again, all the people that are involved in this. So having crypto is another tool in your armory. You should always have cash, and you should always have a bit of precious metals if you can, and you should always be prepared to grow your own food, have create your own electricity with generators or solar power or whatever. So it's all part of learning. So if the electric grid does go down, you should be okay, because you should already have solar power or a generator anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I create all my own power as well. So, you know, that's the way everyone's got to start investigating that. You know, I've been doing it for a while, and, you know, ask other people that are like engineers that have done it. How do we work these batteries and link batteries together? You know, like in the garage, and I've got them lined up, you know, so that they work like similar to these people who would get it on the roof and have it piled down. We've got batteries lined up, you know, this similar to that. And panels that I can move around the garden and everything. Yeah, you just got to like work at ways like that. Plus, also have generators on top of that, which I have. You know, you've got to think of these things like that, because it's pointless like trying to leave everything to the government. The whole thing, right, about freedom, right, is to get away from government control and not rely on anyone else, and to like worry and think about, well, I need someone to look after me. Well, you're fucked then, and that's all there is to it. So you've got no chance no matter what happens. You know, if that's where you want to rely on someone else, and you're looking for someone else to hold your hand and save you and ride over the horizon on a white horse, then you're in the shit, and that's all there is to it.
Absolutely.
So, you know, just what would you say? Maybe it's not the best one, but like Nicola's asking there, what would be the best wallet? But what would be a good wallet, right? If you wanted to open a wallet,
what's generally used for most Web3 applications is something called MetaMask. However, if you're going to be using Pulse Chain, which I want you all to do, I would download what's called Internet Money wallet. Again, these links I think are in your school. So again, there's another one called Rabbi, which is very good for Pulse Chain. But yeah, so MetaMask, Internet Money, or Rabbi. They're my three choices. But again, there's a couple of others. I think there's a Pulse wallet. There's also Aurochs wallet. But generally, it's a MetaMask is what everybody used to use. I'm moving away from MetaMask because it's run by consensus, and there are some security issues with that. And Internet Money was developed by a Pulse Chain developer, and it works perfectly with Pulse Chain. It's nicer, and it works cleaner and more intuitive.
Okay, that's cool. So you would look at like initially opening up like or whatever you would call it, a joining or an account, you know, with that Kanga, which is the exchange, yes.
Yeah.
But
so
then
again,
when we actually get involved with it, then you want to move it in so that you could use like PulseX or anyway a decentralized exchange once you've actually got yourself involved.
So once you've got the how we like to explain what exchanges are is just view them as public toilets. You go in, you do your business, and you come out again. So same way as when you go to a foreign exchange, you go in there, you change your money, but you don't ask them to look after your money for you. You obviously take the money with you and you go on your holiday. So same thing with an exchange. You go in an exchange, you change your English money for crypto, then you take it out of the exchange and put it in your own wallet. You don't want to leave it with them. You wouldn't leave it with your foreign exchange desk.
Yeah, exactly. But your own wallet, right? That's like you having your own bank, isn't it?
That's you, yeah. That's your own bank. And with you having your own bank comes a certain amount of responsibility. So you have, when you open a wallet, you have a certain amount of seed words that secure this wallet, which give you your private key. And those seed words are mega important, and you write them down, you keep them safe. and don't let anybody see them. Don't give them to anybody. They're your fail-safe. However, if you lose those seed words and you can't get into your wallet, your money's gone forever. It's lost. There's no company you can ring. There's no help desk. So with great power comes great responsibility, and having your own bank. But these are the things that you learn. There's the baby steps along the way. So Kanga's the first. Well, download a wallet. Internet money wallet, open a Kanga account. But again, I always say have more than one account. So I would open a Kraken account, have a couple of accounts. Same with bank accounts. Don't just rely on one bank, because if one says no, at least you've got a backup with another one.
Yeah, most definitely. I'll be looking into that internet money wallet myself. I think I need to get another wallet. I've got a couple already, but I fancy getting another one. Especially to make moving more into the actual, the pulse chain and everything like that. So that's really, really interesting for me anyway. But, this is, I don't think that you can emphasize it enough how fast the world is changing. And like, there is nothing going to be left that's the same. Even in a couple of months, things are going to be completely different. Give it a year or so, you're not going to be looking at the same place that you were all existed in.
No.
And I'm not on about when we were born, right? Because it's so different now, it's ridiculous, right? But they are going to like purposely try and destroy most of what we know. And if you don't try and protect yourself, you're finished.
There's certain events happening around the world that I never thought would happen in my lifetime. It's like Iran launching 300 cruise missiles at Israel. Like that, I thought that would never ever happen in my lifetime, and that was just a joke. And they told everybody they were going to do that, so that was a political stunt. That's it. And then what's happening with the BRICS nations and what's happened in all these other countries, and then you've got Macron saying he's going to send troops to Russia, and it's just like getting beyond the mental joke. There's so much that's happening around the world. It's like you can't keep track. There's that much happening, so I ain't risking it.
Yeah, and the thing is, right? I mean, the one thing you should never ever do is leave money in a bank. So if you are that terrified of like cryptocurrency, then go and buy some gold or silver. Do not leave it in the bank, right? Because it's just going to go. It's like the whole thing they're going to take it all. They are aiming to destroy as many people, kill as many, or unalive, you should say, because you get wrong for saying that, don't you? Or they blocked even a comment I did before, and that was actually a joke. But they're going to unalive as many of us as they can. So, so once you actually, again, someone's asking about what is the name of a stable coin. So once you get your stuff and you've got your account gone up with, say, for instance, Kanga to start with, and you've got a wallet, whatever it would be, internet money, for instance, then once you've bought it on the exchange, moved it off to the wallet, right?
Then
so
you
what
can
would be a
use
stable coin that you maybe want to get involved in?
Yeah, so then you can once you've got funds in your own wallet, then you can use Pulse X, which is a decentralized exchange, or a DEX aggregator, because there's lots of decentralized exchanges. There's 9mm, there's 9-inch. There's quite a few of them, so you can use a DEX aggregator, and it'll get you the best price and route it in the most efficient way. And then again, there's all the stable coins that you get on Ethereum you can get on Pulse Chain. So you get USDT, USDC. Obviously, you're going to die, which is going to peg to $1 at some point, which is a little thing that we need to. I've told you about before. I think there's two projects which I mentioned called the Tropa. They're going to. And the DAI is going to be a stable coin. So there's actual DAI from Ethereum that you can get on Pulse Chain, which is $1. But there's also the copied version, which is PDAI, which is going to end up becoming $1. But there's lots of other, like I said, there's other choices that have been forked over. And then there's PXDC, which is an algorithmic stable coin on the a lending protocol side. Then there's USDL, which is another liquid loans. So that there's loads of choice for stable coins on Pulse Chain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, that's another sort of like choice. You know, if you were like risk averse, then you can go on to like a stable coin where you're not going to have to worry about the prices going up and down. But you know, and if you are so terrified of anything, you know, then again, your option is to get gold and silver. But what you cannot do is leave money, you know, even cash, right? I've making sure that I've got cash, because when the banks go down, it's going to be the only thing you've got left to use. But that's only going to last a while. They will just make it illegal, right? Their words, not ours, but they'll just ban it. So you'll not be able to use it. It's like everything's, you know what it is? It doesn't matter what they do. Right, imagine this, right? One of the biggest markets in the world is the black market. One of the most like profitable like enterprises to ever get involved in is a criminal enterprise, and it's never going to go away. And it's run mostly by the governments, but other people can get involved in it. And there's always going to be a way of doing something else, right? You can always get a passport if you want one. Right? Even when they had these ridiculous COVID passes and all that, there was always a way of getting one without having to get yourself stabbed. You know what I mean? There's always a way, and there always will be. And
Always
you watch, there's all, you know, once you get online and you're into this, the crypto, it's impossible to stop forward progress movement.
Yeah. Again, that's another thing which is so great about the Hex community, the Pulse Chain community, is that we're aware of all these different things, and like Richard is very prescient as well, and he understands what's happening in the world, and he seems to be always 2 steps ahead of what's going to happen in the market. He seems to know, and whether he's got insider info, being a billionaire, who knows. But again, anything that you could possibly want, all the knowledge and help and advice is given away free in the Hex and Pulse Chain community. We're here to help everybody, and we want to help everybody. Lots of other, when you get into crypto and you go on YouTube and see all the other crypto people, they're influencers, and they're trying to sell you this token because they've got an allocation from the VC, and they're trying to sell you a trading course, or sell you join my Patreon and all this. But the Hex and Pulse community can do anything for you, and are ridiculously helpful and knowledgeable about everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that again is like a major benefit and a major difference. So you will see, you know, that you get involved in that community, you know, that Mike's talking about there, then you will be able to get so much information and assistance for free. So, you know, that there itself is absolutely priceless. But and what I'll do is I'm going to call it a day now, because that's nearly 2 hours we've been on. You know, it's like
We've got to drive now.
It's not been bad, you know, for a good viewing while we've actually been live. But 2 hours, you know, I hate it when I see people putting 2 and 3 hour videos up. Oh, I can't do that. Come on, you know. But yeah, there's no other way of doing it. You got to get the information out there. That's the issue. Right,
absolutely,
if you want to call it that. But
and like I said, I've only just touched the surface on everything. It's like that's the very basic minimum of what I tried to get across as well. So,
but we'll do a follow up though, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah,
definitely. You know, so we'll give it a bit of time, then we'll do a follow up, let people sink it that bit in there, and you know, have you got like a community sort of like that people can like follow you at all, or?
I'm just known as on Twitter as Mad Dog. That's the only way people can follow me at the moment. But again,
do you actually put some crypto stuff out on Twitter?
Yeah, it's generally only crypto stuff on Twitter. I only do crypto stuff on Twitter.
Okay.
But again, Twitter is an excellent resource for new people to crypto. However, it's a very again that's a very tribal place, and there's it can be a very toxic environment if you spend too much time there. And it can send you dizzy because all these people are saying this and all these people are saying that. There's loads of drama and just the usual type of crap you get on social media. Yeah. But as long as
that's the same as everything, though, isn't it? It's the same as YouTube and all the rest of it. You just like, you just got to try and, ignore
the drama,
the nutcases out there, and carry on doing what you're doing. Anyway, listen, thank you everybody for tuning in and watching. Hopefully the recording will be done and we'll put that up as well. And if you want to get or at least follow, is it called X now anyway, isn't it? Not Twitter.
Yeah, X, yeah.
X, then it's Mad Dog, as it would be. And you can follow Mike on there. Okay. And thank you very much for everything, Mike, as well.
No worries.
All right, take care, people. And we will see you all soon.